welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. How are you all today? It's a Victory Monday! Yay! Yay! Was that a fun game yesterday or what? I mean, I was just like, are you kidding me? It was just great, wasn't it? It's amazing how good we feel after a victory, isn't it? It's like, ah. So, what a great day. I mean, you guys had beautiful weather. The Bears came out and won. Green Bay lost. We can't ask for anything better than that. Okay, first I want to talk about something before I get into the meat of the game. And, everybody's just in a good mood today. We know it. So, as I've been saying, if you've been following me the last few weeks, my buddy Dan, who I do a podcast with, if you know, I do a Wednesday podcast, Country Pod Bears. My sister was in town this weekend, so we just had too much fun. So I am really pickled today. So it's Bears Country Podcast, the Down Low with Dan and Lynn, and we do that on Wednesday nights. And then Dan has other podcasts. So I'm trying to make this a little shorter because I've been saying this for the last few weeks. But Dan did a GoFundMe page last year to help raise money for our friend in England, Chris Watts, who is a huge Bears fan. Never been to America, obviously never been to a Bears game. Bears fans, we all came up with the money. And, of course, Dan put a little more than most, but that's okay. We raised the money, brought Chris over from England. He got to go to the Vikings game last Sunday and yesterday's victory game against the Raiders. And Chris, I had emailed a bunch of TV stations. The only one that really answered me was Fox 32, Good Morning Chicago show. And they had Chris on as a super fan on Friday the 13th, the Friday before the Vikings game. I also called Mr. McCaskey. George and I are pretty tight. I'm not going to go into it. You have to be a fan of the show to understand all the story behind that. But I did call him and let him know this cool story. And we were kind of disappointed because nothing really happened, although Larry Meyer is supposedly doing a story this week on Dan and Chris and us bringing Dan over from England. So we'll see if that happens. But Dan got a call the week before this last game, and the Bears asked him if him and Chris would like to be down on the field. So they don't usually show it on TV, but right before the Bears players come out of their tunnel, somebody waves that big, giant Bears fan like this, flag, big Bears flag, and then the Bears players run out. Well, my buddy Dan and Chris from England got to do that yesterday before the game. Is that the coolest or what? When he told me that, I was like, I am so jealous because all I've ever wanted to do was step foot on the Chicago Bears field. But my friend Dan and friend Chris from New England got to do it yesterday, so very cool. Thank you, Mr. McCaskey, for listening to my voicemail and making that happen. That is just the coolest thing. Okay, so let's get on to the game, baby. Yeah, Lynn isn't going to really be getting all mad and this and that. There's only going to be one thing that's really was bad about yesterday, and that's the only bad thing I'm going to talk about. But we did win 30-12, right on. It was really a great game. I mean, it really was. So let's talk about my threes. I always talk about these the Friday before the Bears game, and my threes are time of possession, turnovers, and penalties. And the Bears won, and I always say if you win these three things, time of possession, turnovers, and penalties, you've got a damn good chance to win the game, if not win it. And the Bears won 2 out of 3, and they won that game. They won the time of possession 34-25. They won the turnover battle again this week, which is so important. I've been talking about it all year. They got 3 turnovers to 0 on the Raiders side. And the bad thing about yesterday, which we're going to discuss in a minute, is the penalties. I say you got to have 5 or less. Should always have 5 or less. The Bears had 9 penalties for 110 yards. Now, let me tell you about that. And the Raiders only had 2. Now, the Raiders are not the best team, okay? We did not beat a Kansas City. We did not beat a Philadelphia, but we had a good, solid win, and we're going to take it. So my point is, those 9 penalties, if we were playing a really top-notch team, no way we would have won that game, because those penalties, you know what? I wrote down the drives that they hurt, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to go beat the drum on this too much because it was such a great day. But I hate penalties. They're so disruptive. They stopped at least 2 drives that the Bears had where their running backs or receivers made good catches, and then boom, out that flag came, back they went, drive stalled. So, but again, at the end of the day, they won the game. And the turnovers, so they won. The time of possession, the turnovers, and those turnovers I've been saying all year are so important. Look what it does for the team. Well, one of the turnovers by JJ, number 33, our backfield guy, he ran it back for 7 points. And the second turnover by JJ gives the Bears the ball with great field position. And the third turnover by TJ Edmonds was another one. So what that does, it just pumps up the team. And it gets your offense back out there to try to score points, which we did off of the turnovers, and it deflates the other team, which we know it did. So those turnovers have been such a blessing to see, because I had said a few weeks ago, remember back in the day when we would watch Bears games, and you knew that defense was going to get at least one every game. It just happened, and the Bears haven't been doing it, but the last 2 weeks, big time, and it helps. A few stats here. The Bears' total pass was 162 yards to the Raiders' 196. So what? We won anyways. This is the big one, the rush. Bears had 173 yards to the Raiders' 39. I mean, I was saying that on Friday's show, that Getsy has got to give the ball to number 21. Feed the ball to 21 Foreman. He is a beast. He just keeps running, and he takes players with him. I saw him several times yesterday get 3 to 4 more yards when there was guys hanging on him trying to stop. Beast. See how important that run game is? Because if you can get that run game going, it's only going to make the pass game that much easier, and it's going to make your offense line happier, because they love to block for running plays rather than passing plays, and it makes life for your quarterback a lot easier, which we're going to get into. I'm going to talk about everybody first, and then we're going to get into Bagent. Don't worry. I want to keep him to the last because he's just was awesome. So let's just keep going. So the Bears had more plays on the field. It was just great. I mean, the offense was very, very good. The defense, real quick, had 1 sack to the Raiders, 2 sacks. And Bagent was sacked once, and they said Peterman was sacked, but he let go of that ball, so I don't know how they could call that a sack. So I'm a little confused about that. I said Raiders only had 1 sack, because that's bullshit. Peterman he had that 1 pass, and he got it off. So how's that a sack? But anyways, and the Bears, as we know, defense had 3 turnovers. Just a great day, and we're going to talk a little bit about number 21 first, Foreman. He had 89 yards on the ground with 2 rushing touchdowns, and he had 31 yards receiving yards with also a touchdown. He scored 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 1 in the air. He had an excellent game. I mean, just excellent. Unfortunately, he did go out for a little bit in the 4th quarter, and he might have gotten that 100 yards had he not gone out. My son said he came back in. I don't remember seeing him come back in, but regardless, he had a great game, and that guy is going to be Bagent's best friend. And Getsy, don't get it, actually kind of had a pretty decent game. He mixed the run with the pass really well yesterday, and that is so important. And then our other running back, because our running backs 1 and 2 are out, Herbert, and Johnson. So these guys are filling in. And number 25, Evans, had 48 yards rushing and 6 yards receiving. I mean, that running game was just awesome. And I'm glad he kept feeding the ball to him because, again, it's only going to help your quarterback. I mean, and that run game was just spectacular. I was just so happy to see that happening because I've been asking for it, right? Bagent threw to 7 different wide receivers, so he spread that ball around, and that is just another really good thing to do. Instead of just staying with Moore and Mooney, he spread it all around. Although Clement, I don't think Clement had any passes yesterday? I think he had one. He caught one. Anyways, but Bagent threw, and Moore and Mooney had a great games, just great games, and that really helps out your young quarterback. The one thing I was saying on Friday's show is to win the game yesterday, the Bears had to play error-free, smart, finish football, and that all the other teammates on that field had to really come out and play to back up that quarterback because their play was going to make his play better. And they did it. I mean, they really did it. I mean, Getsy don't get it. Mixed the pass and the rush in really nicely. I got to say it. I'm still not a fan of, he loves to throw those screens behind the line of scrimmage. I don't like it. Yesterday we got away with it. I'm not really sure how. That shows you that the Raiders are. Because if you watch our games, you know, if they're watching our games, they know that they throw those screens behind the line of scrimmage all the time. And the Raiders were like not even prepared for it. I don't get it, but who cares? We won, right? So, but we do have to remember it's the Raiders. It wasn't Philadelphia. But the thing is, I know I have to say it's the Raiders, but I don't care. We're getting better each week. We should have won that Minnesota game for sure. And had we won that Denver game, I know I'm not supposed to bring it up because I'm going to be pissed off about that game. Had we won that Denver game, forget last week's game against Minnesota, we would be 3-4 right now. That sounds better than 2-5, and then you still have a chance to have a good season, maybe a 500 season. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's probably not going to happen. But hell, if we had beaten those Vikings like we should have, we could be 4-3. Could you imagine? But we're 2-5, and that's what it is. But I don't care. But yeah, Getsy, I got to give him credit. I've been on him all year. I still don't like him. I still want him fired at the end of the season. I don't care. But I got to say, he did plan a good game plan for a raw rookie quarterback who's never started an NFL game in his life. And he helped him out. So defensively, offensively, that line, the offensive line, they had a really good game yesterday. I was very proud of them because, you know, what it was, did they say this was the 6th or 7th? I think it was the 6th different line we've had out there with different guys and this and that. And, you know, they have Max Crosby, the Raiders, and he's a very good player. So they tried to double cover him all day yesterday, and they did a really good job. The line really did a good job. They're still got problems, but we got to give them props when they do well, because I'm going to be on their case when they don't. And by having that strong offensive line out there, you got the running backs the yards they need, and you gave time for Bagent, your young quarterback, to scan the field and get those passes off. And I just let's face it, the running backs, the wide receivers, the offensive line were there for their young rookie quarterback. And I said last week on Friday that had to happen. It happened. Okay, let's talk about our defense, who, you know what? A few games ago, I was just like, oh my God, this is horrible. But they're starting to come together. That defensive line. You know, we only have one returning guy from last year, and that was number 93, Justin Jones. And he's the only returning linebacker. The rest were from the draft, and Poles signed people in the offseason as free agents. And they look terrible. But the last couple games, the last 2-3 games, they are starting to come together. And each week they're having a better and better game. And they're starting to go after the quarterbacks and getting in their faces, which causes interceptions. They caused 3 interceptions by making Hoyer, remember, and Hoyer, second string quarterback. Jimmy G wasn't in there, so remember that. Which is really funny because the last time Hoyer won a game is when he was a Chicago Bear. He has lost 12 games since when he was with other teams, but his last win was when he was with a Bear. And then the Bears, look what they did to him. It was great. The defense really, each week, I got to say, and I've always said we had a great backfield, but we were hurt in the beginning of the season. Now we're getting all these guys back, and look at it. I mean, so good job, defensive line. And number 93, Justin Jones on the defensive line got a sack. So another sack this week. I want to see build them up. I'm not really sure they blitzed much yesterday. I really don't think they needed to. So hats off, you guys. My hair is a mess, so I'm not taking my hat off, but hats off to that defensive line. Just keep getting better and better and better. And I think the more they play together, the more they get that continuity, we are going to get more and more sacks, and let's just hope it happens. The defense has only allowed in the last 2 games 24 points. Against Minnesota, I know the score was 19-13, but it should have been 12-13 because the Bears defense only gave up 12 points against Minnesota. That last 7 was on Bagent, who fumbled the ball, and the defense ran it back for a touchdown. This week, they only allowed 12 points. So in the last 2 games, 24 points for an NFL team is just not that bad. And again, it was a little more impressive against Minnesota because they're a much better team than the Raiders. And I know it was their second string quarterback, but still 12 points. Congratulations, guys. That just helps everybody. And the standout was JJ, number 3, our backfield, Julius Johnson. What's his first name? JJ, whatever. I always call him JJ. He had a great game. He had 2 interceptions. One he ran back for a touchdown, and the second one was just wonderful. 2 interceptions. Right on. He needed it so bad because he wants to stay with the Bears, and he wants a new contract. And that's about, people are like, oh, the Bears are going to trade him. The Bears shouldn't be trading anybody like JJ or Brisker, any of those guys, Eddie Jackson now, because we're building a core now, and that's what you want to do. You want to build that, and that backfield they're just so good. They're getting better and better. And number 9, Brisker, our second-year guy, another great game. He led the team in tackles yesterday. He has been all over that field the last 3 weeks. It's been wonderful watching him. The rookie, number 29, Stevenson, he's getting better each week. He had a couple great plays. He was up against one damn good receiver in Dante Adams. And I got to tell you what, I think he held up pretty damn good, considering how good that Dante Adams is. Of course, he had Hoyer throwing to him, but still, very proud of that young man. And he's learning. He's young. He started right off the bat on with the Bears. He didn't sit on the bench. He got out on the field. So he's going to get these penalties here and there, but he's getting better each week. Just great. And then our linebacker, number 49, TJ Edmonds, had a great game too. He had an interception. He had an interception, and he was second in tackles on the team, and he was all over the place. The defense played a very, very solid game. Those turnovers are just so important. I mean, what they do to a team, it just lifts everybody up, and everybody is just, and then the defense is rocking and rolling, and then the offense goes back out. 9 out of 10 times you get a turnover, you're going to have pretty decent field position, what the Bears did. So, Poles, you got to keep that backfield together, and this defense is getting better and better. Actually, you know who else who had a really good tackle yesterday was our linebacker, 57, Sanborn. Oh, he had a great, they were going to run, and he read that play all the way. I think it was in the fourth quarter, and he sacked, he got the running back. He lost like 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, Sandberger was on top of it. Great play. So, defensive line, offensive line, awesome games, awesome. And the defense just played very, very good. I mean, again, Raiders, but it's still, they didn't make mistakes. The team really did what I said they needed to do: rally around and help your quarterback. So, and that's exactly what they did. So, so proud of them, so happy. Now it's Bagent time, right? Because he deserves it. Number 17, our Tyson Bagent, undrafted rookie. Never started an NFL game before, and he was 20. He was 21 for 29, and he threw for 162 yards, no turnovers, one passing touchdown, and rushed for 24 yards. He had a solid, solid game. Sure, 162 yards. Of course, it's not, but it don't matter. The way we were running, you didn't need him to throw anymore. But when he did, he was making smart decisions, and there was a couple throws in there that one he threw to Moore. Moore was double covered. It was like fucking awesome. He really had a really solid game. I mean, he looked poised, confidence. He played smart, error-free football. Now, they didn't do a lot of downfield long passes because they didn't want to get this kid in trouble. And that's okay. He's still young. So he's going to get better and better. And the more he does, the more he sees the field, the more Getsy will start to do passes down the field more for him. But it was smart the way they kept it. Keep him a little short. Don't overwhelm this kid, and he's going to do well. And he really did. I mean, how impressive is it? He had 53 family members and friends there. That alone is going to give you nerves. Your first NFL game, and I don't know. He was just, and I love him. He's so charismatic. He's funny. He's way better watching on a press conference than Fields is. Fields is boring as shit. And I'm not going to start pounding on Fields. And I'm not saying either that the Bagent's the answer. I sure would like him to be. But you know what? I'd like to see him play a little bit more. And I think if the Bears were smart, you don't put Fields back in until he's 100%. Because right now, unless Bagent forces you to do it, you don't need to. Let's get this kid some experience and see what he's got. Next week, this coming Sunday night, they're going to be playing the Los Angeles Chargers in California. So they've been having a kind of a rough go at, but they're a good team. They're better than their record shows too. So I believe Sunday's upcoming game will be a real test for the entire team because they will be playing a stellar team. Again, they're having some rough times. They lost yesterday. They shouldn't have. But it's on the road, and it's a night game, and we never play good at night. We know that. So, I don't know. It'll be very interesting. I really want to see him go next week, Bagent. You never know, man. This kid could be a diamond in the rough. Oh, my God, football gods. Please let it be so. We need it here in Chicago. Wouldn't it be great? And then we wouldn't have to worry. And we do have Fields for another year under contract. So let's just say for the giggles of it, this kid continues to play and, play solid, air-free, smart football. As long as they let him play. The Bears then have a lot of choices in the off field. They could keep Fields. They could trade him. They're not going to release him, but they certainly could trade him to another team. There's another team that could take him. I don't think you'd get a number one for him anymore, even though he was a number one, but he was a number 111. He was in the top 10. But you could definitely get a couple number twos for him easily. So the Bears, let's hope they have a quarterback controversy. Because you know what? Even though I'm not a fan of that, but that means you've got two good quarterbacks. And if you've been watching my show all 4 years, I am not a bandwagon on, off. I'm pretty solid with what I stick with. And I've always been on the fence about Fields because, as I've said many times, Ohio State does not have a good track record with bringing who were good on their team, and then they come to the NFL and they just don't seem to play well because it's a different style. College and pros are way different. Even Bagent said it is so much faster up here, and that's the truth. So, Tyson Bagent, So proud of you. Your family must be ecstatic. It sounds like he comes from a very good, grounded family who are very, very close. He said they're very close, and I love it. And they rallied around him, and they showed up to that game. He was saying, he said, my paycheck's going to be very small this week because, the players have to pay for that. People never realize that the teams don't pay for that. The only time you get something like that, like so many seats or a box or something like that, is if it's in your contract and your name is Mahomes. You know what I mean? So, right on number 17. Let's see you do it. You've got this whole town backing you. You've got Bear Nation backing you. I don't live there, but I'm in Bear Nation out here. And I just ran into somebody at a dispensary today who's a gentleman, a little older than me, but a huge Bears fan. And we had some pretty good smiles for each other, or high-fiving each other and stuff, so it's great. Because this is only the second win, so they haven't given out very, very many game balls, but the game balls that went out were much deserved. Obviously, number 33, JJ, 2 interceptions, one for a turnover on defense. Bagent, number 17, a quarterback who undrafted rookie and won his first NFL game. And last but not least is number 21, a running back, Foreman, who just had a fabulous game. I mean, Foreman said, I've been sitting on the sidelines because he's been not active for many of the games, and he said it was driving him crazy watching. He goes, I want to show the Bears what I have, and he certainly has the last few weeks. So, when Herbert and Johnson went down, I was really worried, but I got to tell you, Foreman and Evans have stepped up in such big ways. Very impressed. Actually, Evans would have had higher rushing yards, but several times he had some of these great runs, and the penalties brought him back, and that really hurt. And I will say, though, there was 2 penalties that those refs called that were not penalties. There was one that they called on our offensive line after we got a first down. Even the announcer said that was not a holding. And then the pass interference on, who was it? Was it JJ or was it 29? That wasn't pass interference either, and that was bullshit. But we won the game, but the refs, you know what? They keep doing it. They still like to stick us in the ass, don't they? But I got to tell you what a glorious day. I mean, 2 wins, but yesterday's win was just so much better than the Washington win, even though we embarrassed the shit out of Washington. But it just was a complete team victory, and that's what we want. If the Bears could keep it together, get the penalties down to 5 or less, 9 not acceptable. Again, you can't have 9 against the Chargers next week. Forget it. You won't win that game, I'm telling you. But if they can keep playing air-free, smart football, they have a chance to win some more games. They're not going to the playoffs, but if we can get close to 500 as possible, that momentum will then, we all knew last year was a process building year, and so is this year. Like it or not, it is. It just started out a little rougher than we liked, and maybe, there was injuries early on. That's what's hurt us, and there was 2 games we should have won, and we didn't. So those 2 games are wins. We're looking at 4-3 right now. But it didn't happen. So, but the Bears have to continue. And if they do this, oh, God, how happy would we be, right? And I just couldn't be happier for Bagent. I just couldn't. And, man, you just don't know, Chicago. We could be that team where this kid he's not going to be in the next Tom Brady, But remember, Brady was picked up in the 6th round, late 6th round, and look what he did. If this kid could just be solid, he seems calm and collected and just together, I don't know. I'm excited, can you tell? All right, so that was just wonderful. And I do promise the victory song. If you know me, if you've been watching for 4 years, when the Bears get a victory, I'll sing the victory touchdown song with I want to rewrite it myself, but I just didn't have time today. Again, my sister was in town this weekend, and we had a one hell of a time. And so I watched the game late yesterday. I had to record it, and then I had to get some sleep. So, but I'm gonna sing the song because I know you guys want it. You do. So bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with might so fearlessly. You know what? Shit. I started out the song wrong. I told you, pickled. Woo! The first night she was here, we were out to 2 a.m. That's all I need to say, don't I? And I'm 65 years old. She's 50. Well, she's 9 years younger, so figure it out. All right, let's try the Bears Down touchdown song one more time. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Make every play clear the way to victory. 30-12. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with might so fearlessly. You'll never forget the way you filled the nation with your T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Let them know why you are wearing the crown. Don't know about that. You're the pride and joy of Illinois. Chicago Bears, bear down. I know, was that fucking awesome or what? I probably would have been a little bit better if I hadn't partied as much as I did. You know, the voice is a little raw, you know, a little, and maybe a little, and a lot of talking and laughing and just having a great time. My sister is absolutely the best. I love her so much, except for she never watches my show, but I love her anyways. And I love all my family. My brother in Tennessee, he watches. I got a big family, and not many of them watch, but thank you, Scott. I know my cousin Don watches. Thank you, bro. Love you. And, yeah, thank you, everybody, for watching. Spread the word. Let's talk Chicago Bears. Who'd want to watch any other show besides that? Well, you can watch my friend's Dan's podcast, Bears Country Podcast. That's allowed, but you're only allowed to watch our two shows. So, glorious Monday, Victory Monday. And that's all, baby. So let's just enjoy this one. I will be back Friday to do the next game, which is the Los Angeles Chargers in LA or in California. And we'll see. We'll talk about that Friday. Let's just enjoy the victory and all the good stuff that's coming out of Hallis Hall right now, because it was really a good Sunday. And again, remember the Packers lost. That's always a double win. Woo! Woo! All right, as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you. You know, bottom of my heart, I appreciate you watching me. And as always, be kind, love one another. Smile when you're out and about. Be nice to people. People need help, help them out. Being kind is so much easier and less stressful than being a jerk. Times are real tough with everything that's going on in Israel and all around our country. We need to stick together. Kindness and love will get us there. It's just not worth being an asshole. I'm telling you. I was talking to so many people this weekend, and even my sister got out of her comfort zone. She's completely opposite. We don't look anything alike, and she's not a talker like me. And I'll talk to anybody. And we talked to so many people, and we met the nicest people everywhere we went this weekend, and there's some good people out there. There really are. And just like those people who helped pay to bring Chris Watts over from England. I mean, how cool is that? Bears fans rock. So, Bears fans, let's show people in this world of ours how cool we are and how we all love each other. Okay? And just have a great week, you guys. I'll see you Friday. Go Bears! And as always, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. Right on.